Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask may look like classic adventures, but Zelda 64 hides some seriously dark secrets. From cut content to disturbing mysteries that Nintendo never explained, these games are far stranger than you remember. Here are 8 of Zelda's darkest secrets. Number 8. The Triforce that was never finished. For years, players were convinced the Triforce was hidden somewhere inside Ocarina of Time, not just as a symbol in the story, but as something you could actually unlock. People spent an unbelievable amount of time combing through every inch of Hyrule, trying every rumor they heard, and chasing clues that felt just real enough to keep the mystery alive. Some even believed there was a secret path to it through the Temple of Time itself. And the strangest part is that the myth didn't come out of nowhere. Over time, beta material, leftover assets, and bits of unused game data suggested that something bigger may have once been planned. Whether it was a full quest or simply an idea Nintendo abandoned during development, the Triforce became one of the most famous missing secrets in gaming history. It's a reminder that sometimes the most haunting mysteries aren't what's hidden in the game, but what was removed before we ever got to see it. Number 7. Dead Hand, Nintendo's most disturbing boss. Even today, Dead Hand feels completely out of place in a Zelda game. It isn't a mythical monster or a fantasy villain. It's something far more unsettling. A pale, twisted creature buried underground, surrounded by severed arms that reach up toward you as you walk through the darkness. The entire encounter feels less like an adventure and more like stumbling into something you were never meant to find. What makes Dead Hand even more disturbing is how little the game explains. There's no real backstory, no warning, and no clear reason it exists. You simply drop into the bottom of the well, and suddenly you're facing one of the most horrifying designs Nintendo has ever put into one of their worlds. Dead Hand is proof that beneath the bright surface of Ocarina of Time, there was always something darker hiding underneath. Number 6. Majora's Mask was made under a nightmare deadline. Majora's Mask is already remembered as one of the darkest games Nintendo has ever released, but what makes it even more unsettling is the way it was created. After the massive success of Ocarina of Time, Nintendo wanted a follow-up almost immediately. The team was given barely a year to build an entirely new Zelda experience, which is an almost impossible deadline for a game of that scale. Instead of starting from scratch, they reused assets, characters, animations, and the engine from Ocarina. But the story they built on top of it became something completely different. That rushed development is part of why Majora feels so strange. Everything about the game carries this sense of anxiety and instability, like the world is constantly collapsing in on itself. The looming countdown, the repeated cycles, and the unsettling tone weren't just creative choices. They were shaped by the pressure behind the scenes. Majora's Mask feels like a game born out of stress, and somehow that real-world urgency became part of its identity. It's as if the developer's nightmare deadline bled directly into the world. Number 5. The Shadow Temple was originally even worse. The Shadow Temple is already one of the most disturbing locations in Zelda history, but many believe what we saw in the final game was actually a toned-down version. The entire temple is filled with imagery that feels unusually grim for Nintendo. Torture devices, blood-stained floors, invisible enemies, and an atmosphere that's closer to horror than fantasy. It's the kind of place that makes you wonder how it ever made it into the game at all. Over the years, fans have uncovered evidence that early versions of Ocarina of Time were even darker. Nintendo has always been careful about what they include in their games, and it's likely the Shadow Temple was originally meant to go further before being scaled back. Even in its released form, it feels like a glimpse into a version of Zelda that Nintendo didn't fully want players to see. The Shadow Temple isn't just a dungeon. It's a reminder that Ocarina of Time had shadows lurking beneath its bright surface. Number 4. Ikana Canyon hints at a war Nintendo never explained. Ikana Canyon is one of the most haunting areas in Majora's Mask, because it feels like you're walking through the aftermath of something that was never fully told. The entire region is filled with death. Abandoned ruins, restless spirits, cursed soldiers, and a kingdom that seems to have been wiped out completely. Unlike most Zelda locations, Ikana doesn't feel like a fantasy setting. It feels like a graveyard. What makes it even more unsettling is that the game never gives you a clear answer for what happened there. The area is filled with hints of an ancient conflict, as if Termina once experienced a full-scale war that destroyed everything. The music, the empty architecture, and the undead inhabitants all suggest a history Nintendo chose not to spell out directly. Ikana Canyon is disturbing because it feels real, like you're exploring the remains of something far darker than the game ever openly admits. Number 3. The moon was designed to stress you out. Majora's Moon isn't just creepy, it's psychological. From the moment you start the game, it hangs in the sky like a constant reminder that everything is about to end. The face isn't subtle either. It's angry, unnatural, and impossible to ignore. Nintendo wanted players to feel pressure every second they were in playing, and the moon is the ultimate symbol of that. What makes it so effective is that it isn't just background scenery. It's a countdown you can see. As the days pass, the moon grows larger, closer, and more terrifying, creating a sense of dread that builds constantly. Even when you're doing something simple, like helping an NPC or exploring a town, the moon is always there, watching. It's one of the most unsettling design choices Nintendo has ever made, because it turns the sky itself into a source of anxiety. Number 2. The Missing Temple of Light. Ocarina of Time is built around its temples, but for decades, players have wondered if one was missing. The game includes the forest, fire, water, shadow, and spirit temples, but the existence of the Light Medallion has always raised questions. Unlike the others, the Light Temple never truly appears. The medallion exists, but the dungeon doesn't, leading many fans to believe an entire temple was cut during development. The theory isn't as far-fetched as it sounds. Ocarina of Time went through major changes during production, and entire areas were reworked or removed. The Temple of Light has become one of the most enduring mysteries in Zelda history because it feels like something incomplete. It's like a missing chapter in the game's structure. Whether it ever existed in full or was simply an abandoned concept, the idea of a lost temple adds to the strange sense that Ocarina still holds secrets that were never fully revealed. Number 1. The Fierce Deity Mask. The Fierce Deity Mask is often treated like a reward, but the more you think about it, the more disturbing it becomes. It isn't just another transformation, it feels like something unnatural. When Link puts it on, he becomes an entirely different being, almost godlike, with an eerie presence that doesn't feel heroic. The mask is powerful, but it also feels wrong, as if you're borrowing something that was never meant to exist. What makes the fierce deity so unsettling is how little the game explains. Where did it come from? What is it really? Some interpretations suggest it represents the combined hopes of Termina, while others believe it's something darker, a force created from suffering and destruction. The fact that Nintendo leaves it ambiguous is what makes it so haunting. Majora's Mask ends not with a simple victory, but with one last unanswered mystery, and the Fierce Deity Mask remains one of the strangest and most unsettling secrets Zelda has ever left behind. Those were 8 of the darkest secrets hidden in Zelda 64. Which one was the most unsettling to you? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed, be sure to like and subscribe for more.